Order the September meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. Please call the roll.
So I'll just call who I see here. I've got Matt Yetto, Clark Henry, Paul Briggs, Dan Kaminsky, Kevin Walsh, Dennis Brennan, Chairperson McGraw, Isma Alam.
Good morning.
Michelle Martinelli, Tom Seth, and Laura Robertson.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. Okay.
So I sent you guys the August packet in the email yesterday. So what I'm going to do is we don't have any minutes, so that's good. We would have obviously skipped taking action on them anyway. But I'll just keep my screen up the entire time so you guys can see what I'm talking about because you've only had the packet in front of you for a couple minutes. So, and I think that I have this fancy way of doing it now because Google made some updates. Oops, Claire, can you let that one in?
I got it.
Oh, thanks, Seth.
Thanks, Seth.
Maybe. Sorry. Well, I can just share my screen. Oh, ha. Okay, here it is. Okay, so
There we go.
there we go. So I did not receive any emails or comments from the public that wanted to attend this meeting. Did anybody have anything that they know of from the public? Okay.
No.
And don't have any minutes, so that's good because I sent you guys the wrong packet. For COVID-19 updates, all I have is that right now, obviously, we're doing the meetings remotely again. I've pretty much reached out to most of my boards. I think I still have to reach out to the zoning board about it, but they're all fine. It's kind of old hat for them. So we'll just continue to do as much outreach to the public to make sure that they still know that they can attend. They can email me. We'll do anything we can to make sure that they can still attend, to make them as public as possible. So we did that for a long time. We're back to it, and as far as I know, no complaints. So did anybody?
So, but Laura, you never went back to completely in person. You were a hybrid.
Yes, we were always hybrid.
Okay.
Except for maybe we were pretty much always hybrid.
All right, great.
Yeah, because just in case we said we want to stay hybrid with planning board even without COVID. We think that that's something
that positive. Is what I've understand. So okay. Yeah,
because there's applicants to the planning board and stuff that are from Ohio, and they'll sometimes fly people to Niskayuna. I'm like, why do that? We could just put them up on the screen. So I'm really excited about how hard Seth worked and how good that can work when we're ready to do it again.
Yes, Seth is excellent. All right, great.
Okay, and so so I have two. Andrea Worthington decided she wanted to retire from the tree council. The tree council was variously, sometimes very active and sometimes not even appointed by the town board, but she's been consistently on the tree council helping the town for 30 years. She figured from the inception of the tree council, she was one of the first members. Mm-hmm. And so we were thinking tree council would like to see if the town board would want to recognize her for her years of service. Because she did make an announcement at our last tree council meeting that would be her last tree council meeting.
Of course.
She's a neat lady. We're sorry to see her go, but she feels like the tree council is in good hands, according to herself.
Good. No, she's fantastic and she's done so much. I would be honored to put forward that resolution. So great.
Oh, okay, good. And then the second thing I have is the resolution authorizing the installation of the EV charging stations. So we did one to take a look at them. We got the quotes back in. Town hall was just very expensive and difficult to do. So we swapped out town hall with River Road. Actually, that one doesn't even look. Oh, this is Blatnick Park. That doesn't look familiar to me because these buildings aren't here anymore. So there's a big old parking lot here now, and they would like to put the charging stations up close to River Road here. This is Lions Park. And just because of the way the electrical gets run from the bathrooms, they think the best spot for the charging stations in Lions Park is over kind of like tucked up against the side of the hill / septic system, which most people probably just think is a hill. And then the third one that we decided would be a good swap out from Town Hall is River Road. And so here's the pavilion and the playground. And these are probably some of the least used spaces here, but would make a great spot for EV charging stations. And one of the benefits that we see is that, this hosts tournaments and stuff. So there may actually be a true need for people coming from out of town to charge there. So that's an exciting spot, I think. I think we found the money in our budget for this. So as far as I am concerned, it looks great. And I would like to put forth a resolution on it for us, just so that we know where the money's coming from and we can go for it. And the one other thing is if there's a way to do this, which I will try by September 30th, because your meeting is the 28th. But if there's a way that I can work with Livingston and you guys are comfortable with this, we don't have a lot of questions. It seems like a win-win. We have the budget. Is we could authorize them like the next day so that we can take advantage of the September 30th deadline for the funding.
Yeah, I think the support for this is overwhelming, and it's part of a connectivity effort, I think, by and large. So we'll be working with the county to make sure that they put charging stations at the library. We're going to be going over there on Tuesday to look at that, because that's also very important to me. And especially if we're not going to upgrade the stations at Town Hall, the library is really a natural spot. We've been in regular conversations with the school board. With the school district. So, and their process is a little slower, but they are obviously very interested as well, since they just did the bonds to get the electric vehicle buses. So I think they are eager to move forward on some sort of initiative as well. So, I mean, it really upgrades the entire community. Schenectady's moving that way. The county is moving this way. And we will be doing our part also.
Yeah, and this is definitely Denise led. Denise figured out. Laura just doing the final to get installed. So
yeah, but I can't do that piece without you, Laura. So, and I think the most important piece of the entire thing is, while we are going to be doing a resolution to approve a small amount of funding, which we're very fortunate Laura was able to sharpen her pencil and find in her budget. Overwhelmingly 4 times the amount or more, is from grants, from state grant. It's a state program we're getting into. So we want to take advantage of it while the money's still there and people aren't caught up to us.
Yeah. So just to give people an idea, it's $126,000 investment that is being put to the town for green energy. And the town only has to pay $7,000 of that. Yeah. So
I mean, it's an amazing program, and the time is now, and it's a Schenectady company. And the county's doing it, the city's doing it. If we didn't do it, that would be the problem. So thank you all. And my colleagues obviously are very supportive. But Laura, thank you. You've been out there in parking lots with me. You've been on a lot of calls. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. I'm excited for these stations to go in. So I'll get that prepared and ready for you guys. And if there's a way that we can actually get it funded and submitted by the 30th, that's the goal.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for all of that.
So Clark.
Okay, sure. I'll jump in. Laura, if you want to pull up the flow chart. One of the things we're trying to do is continuously improve some of our primary processes in our department with a special focus on communication. That's the number one thing. The way we interact with the public, communication is so important. So last month we talked about building permits being up 36% over a 5-year average through July. So that's obviously an area that we really want to focus on. We hope to have one little update for everyone at each EDH-PEC meeting at just a little step we're taking to try to improve our processes. So what we've done is we the current building permit process, and we'll email this around to everyone. There's a little text description, and why don't you show the little Excel file, Laura? Right now, this is just in Excel, so it's a little hokey. We'll put it into Microsoft Visio. And I won't go through every step right now, but it shows how the building office processes a building permit currently. And depending on whether all the information is provided when we receive the application, there are a couple little holding bins that a permit could go into while we're waiting for new information. So what we'd like is, we've documented the current process. We'll get together as a group and kind of brainstorm improvements to this or little adjustments we could make. And then we'll make a nicer looking flow chart that we'd like to put right on the web page where you download a building permit, so we can communicate to applicants that this is what the building permit process is, so they have a good understanding right up front of the process. Right now, that can be very mysterious to someone taking out a building permit. So we want to kind of demystify that and communicate clearly right from the start. So this is the first step. We'll be getting together as a group and looking for how we can make improvements, and then posting it on the web page. So this is obviously a building department process, and the next thing, look at the most common process in the planning world, which will probably plan application approval. So again, we'll send this around. So if anyone wants to kind of look at it, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, good, Laura. Thanks.
Thanks, Clark. He's gonna make us better and better, one step at a time. I think I can just bring this over here. Yes, that works out. Okay, so if anybody
This is excellent. I have to say that.
I couldn't agree more, Easement, right? I mean, and everything that Clark touches, it's always about continual improvement, customer service, leadership, working together. I mean, it's really, Clark, you've brought such a unique perspective, a business perspective. It's not unique, it's a business perspective to this department. And it's what the outside world expects. It really is a perfect complement to all the initiatives that Laura is undertaking. The continual improvement and the streamlining and everything else frees up Laura for other things. I mean, it's just really an outstanding partnership, the two of you. So, and the rest of the staff. I mean, it really optimizes people who are excellent staff people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're really lucky. We're a lucky little department, I think. So, okay, so, oops, sorry, I was skipping around. So I'm just keeping the running list of the open boards. I'll just always have that on my agenda unless we're completely full, which is unlikely. The only thing that changed from last meeting is obviously now we have one vacancy in the tree council because Andrea made that announcement last time. So I haven't even checked my spreadsheet to see if I have somebody on the waiting list for tree council. But I'll let you guys know. And then if not, if you guys know anybody who's been talking to you about trees, that one typically fills up the fastest. So
Laura, I want to do another email blast because I know Matt still has one position open, I think. And then I believe Ray has a couple positions open. Plus there's a couple committees that need things, I think, Denise, right? So,
thank you. Yes.
We'll try to organize that for like another week or two. That way everybody can get their stuff into me.
Okay, that worked very well. That's how we filled a bunch of holes in the CAC the other time that we did that.
Yeah, so I think it's time. So
that'd be great. Also, the Knott Street area improvement progress. I'm just gonna keep that one on there because it is very important, and I want to make sure that it doesn't get lost. But that one is still in a holding pattern. So, so the next thing is that. And you guys may have seen the planning board has got a lot of different things being submitted to it right now. Kind of the tail end of what the planning board's been working on right now is upgrades to the upstate guns and ammo between State Street and Albany Street. So right now that site has a pod on it, and the applicant has been working with the building department and the zoning board to get a true building extension. So this is like pretty close to the bus stop across from the Walmart, old Walmart. And then this is Graham's Coffee Parlor over here, which is a delicious place if nobody's ever been. And so they're basically doubling the size of the building. It's I think a good improvement, but it is a tight space. So the building and planning department has been working really hard with the applicant to make sure this gets done right. One of the comments from the county was that because the building's so close to the lot line and it's residential on the other street, to just try and upgrade the whole site to make it look a little bit nicer. And so, I mean, Kevin, you can jump in. I think the applicant has been willing to do quite a lot to try and improve the site. And we're getting to the finish line on this one slowly.
Almost there.
Almost there. This one we don't actually have too many upgrades on. It's 2147 Eastern. We've showed this one to you guys before. Clark reached out to the applicant. This is the building that's been vacant for quite some time that he wants to put a 3-story mixed use building on. You guys issued the special use permit. He's got, I think he's about 3 weeks out on significant engineering for the project, which we'll see at the next. So once we get those updated plan sets in that have like landscaping plans and, you know, stormwater and stuff, that'll go back to the planning board. So special use permit issue, we're working away on that guy.
Hey, Laura, we may want to share any of the information we have with the electric vehicle charging stations with Mr. Lisi, because he's committed to putting, you know, potentially what,
right.
three or so.
That's
help
a
him
great
out.
idea, Kevin.
Great point. Yeah, Laura, I don't know if private properties would be eligible for the same incentives, but
If they would, that would be awesome, because one of the green things he agreed to put for that building would be the charging station. So we'll give him the contact information that we have right now to see if that also applies.
fantastic. Great point, Kevin. Thank you.
This is just a quick, simple well, not to them, but to us, improvement to the Mohawk Country Club golf course. They currently have kind of a smaller, older maintenance building, and then they have 2, and then they do some outdoor storage of their equipment, and they want to consolidate everything into one large, pretty nice building that's based architecturally on a building that Clark knows out in Syracuse somewhere. It's a very nice golf course. So it looks like it's only an improvement to the golf course. It's right in the middle of the golf course, like the heart of it, surrounded by trees and holes. So I don't think that anybody's ever even seen these buildings unless they play golf or would even necessarily know the changes, but it's going to take 2 old buildings and make one nice updated building. So seems like, and we've looked at this one before too, River's Ledge. Anybody who's driven by has seen that the majority of the buildings are actually shelled and up. I think they've only got 1 or 2 that are just foundations out there of their 16. So they've probably got a good 12 to 14 buildings up already. But they have a plan for a recreation center that overlooks River's Ledge there. And the planning board's been working with them on how close it is to the lot lines and how they can screen, because we've heard, you know, landscaping, and screening. So I can just zoom in here really quickly. The tree council looked at this last night. The building, they pushed it as far as they could away from the lot line. And then they put 2 rows of Norway spruce and 3 tupelos and a berm. So hopefully the berm would actually raise the visual line of sight for the building away from anybody who's on the bike path. Then it's going to have 2 rows of Norway spruce. And then to the right, it'll have tubelos, which are deciduous, but great fall color, and should look really nice right there. So it's not a substantial change to the plan, but because it's so close to the lot line, they wanted to be very careful about it. I don't know if anybody has any questions, or Kevin, you want to add anything on that?
No, just they're supposed to have 2 recommendations, and we're going to pick one about the location of the building. But in general, we support the building.
Yeah, it's going to have a like in gym and like inside
Driving range.
long tables, simulated golf range, all kinds of things. This is a new one, big one. we had looked at this quite a while ago. This is WRGB up top here, and this is CVS down at the intersection of Alta and Van Antwerp. Previously, the applicant has submitted a much higher density apartment unit complex with commercial space on the bottom, and I think it was still apartments over here that look like townhomes. And they went and withdrew their proposal because of kind of massive opposition from the community. And so they've come back with a completely revised proposal, much lower density. This would be owned. So these would be duplex homes, kind of like the ones that are up here, and they would be privately owned, so not rented. These are not apartments, they're townhomes. And they went down to 20 as opposed to something like, I think before they had 50. They're reducing the curb cuts. They heard a lot about curb cuts. They've got some preliminary sketches of what it looks like. They did meet with the neighbors that are directly across the road from these on the Van Antwerp side, and some of the other people that they knew had interest in the first time when the project went through. And this is still just very preliminary. You can see there's not stormwater or anything designed, conceptual, but they did bring it to the town planning board at the last planning board meeting. So this is the first we're seeing of the new concept.
Yeah, and I just might want to add, if they had the same density with single family homes, these twin townhomes or double townhomes, whatever you want to call them, is less intense on traffic than the equivalent number of single family homes based on the traffic engineer's handbook.
Yeah, so they are able to fit, I think, 20 single family homes in that area, but they lose a lot of the green space. And like Kevin said, they're not able to consolidate like the curb cuts and things like that and traffic. So.
And what was the reaction of the neighbors?
So, I mean, neighbors on the ones that they met liked it better than the 50-unit apartments. And they did feel like that it was good that they had gone to ownership and that they were reduced in number. I don't think anybody's ever going to be like, yay, I'm losing the forest across the street.
Yeah.
So I would say they're still mixed, but they definitely tried to come to a compromise with the neighborhood. And they did meet with them multiple times. So they're definitely, as far as, I mean, those things, like, they're tough, like, but they're definitely trying to find a concept that works with the town and will work for them. I think they can do the single family homes as an outright use that they're allowed, but we probably would benefit more from this type of housing, because right now we have so little of it that if, like, even you can hardly see them, but the ones that are up here, these ones don't even go on the market, and they're like 40 years old, maybe even more. They don't even go on the market. They have before they even hit the market, they sell. So people really seem to want that downsize, and this could make this very walkable to the town center. He's got a concept so that these all have a nice streetscape presentation to Balltown Road and to Van Antwerp when you're driving through, trying to look very residential. And the tree council was actually looking at Ace Hardware's landscaping, and then thinking about this one potentially getting developed, and some of the other areas that are getting improved in the town center overlay district. And we're wondering if there's a way to like leverage the trees being removed on this to create a kind of downtown planting plan where we could have a consistent line of trees up and down these corridors that would kind of unite the different properties. Anybody have any other questions on that one? It's very new.
So at what point in the process do we see a traffic study?
So they have started a traffic summary, but they would do a traffic study. Probably, it would depend. They have this plan requires relief from the zoning board. It's not required to go to the town board. It is required to go to the zoning board. They may not actually do a full traffic study until they find out whether they can get the code relief. They may choose to do one before the zoning board to help with their case, but they don't have to. So it could be soon, or it could be after they find out if they would get the relief from the zoning. The relief that they need is because these lots are smaller. So the single family detached homes obviously require much larger lots. These ones are smaller so that you have less disturbance to the, forest. But then they need relief from the code for the area, the setbacks, and the frontage.
So Laura, kind of like you said, this is very early in the process, and they will still have to have a public hearing and lots more about this project.
Just the beginning, but we figured we'd put it on you guys' radar. And this is another one that's a lot of units that we just got at the planning board. So this road here is the road that leads to the 66 new single family homes on Harmon Grove. So Riley Way and Schwaber, like very up on the north side of Balltown Road. The single family homes are on this side, and this side is currently just forest, and it's zoned to take apartments. It's difficult to put the apartments there for the same reason it was difficult to put the single family homes, because it's crisscrossed. If you guys can see these big empty things with very large power lines, and it's very expensive for developers to raise and get the crossings underneath the power lines to meet National Grid's requirement. So initially, the big plan for the development of this whole area had the apartments here, and the apartments were connected to, I call it the Lucarelli parcel, which is the parcel that the county has put the solar panels on. It's supposed to be connected through that to Iroquois Village, and then that would be this way, and then it was supposed to connect into Riley Way, and Riley Way can then connect into the Niskayuna Commerce Park, and you actually get a web of decent road connections on the north side of town, which we really don't have. The power lines made that very difficult. So this proposal shows them connecting the apartments into a different side of the single family homes, and they don't have nearly the number of apartments that they would be allowed per zoning. I think they can get 210, and they're proposing 138. This kind of funny line here is a exercise loop. So nothing really strange going on here, except they're just a multi-use path that residents could use. And again, very preliminary. It's allowed by zoning. But it is, it's intense, and the connections and the way that the road's going to work is something the planning board's got to work through. I do believe, I can see Matt paying attention, that they upgraded the Balltown North pump station with knowing that there were units on this side. And I believe that they incorporated the flow of these units into the upgrades. At least they've said that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they're not going to run into issues with DEC like they did on Kelt's Farm, because this does pump into that same line.
Same line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, how many units is this?
It's 138. I know.
I just don't. So when will we see a traffic study on that? And something like that, more so than CVS, 138. At what point do we talk to the school district and let them know? Because that's a big influx.
Yeah, the school district contacts me I would say probably 1 to 2 years, and says what's in the pipeline, and we always give them what we've got. We have circled this area before as potential because the developer, this is going way back, but Wayne Wagner was the owner of both.
Yeah, I was here then.
Yeah, and he used to come and lobby anybody that would listen to him about how wonderful this land was and how it all needed to be developed perfectly. It's really tough to develop, right? Because of the power lines. And you can see all the wetlands down here and stuff, which is why they can't fit the number of units that they're technically allowable under the zoning. But they did do initial traffic studies for all of it. which is why I think they potentially upgraded the Belltown North station for all of it, because it's always been in one way or another the same property owner, or at one point I think Wayne had sold half of it to Amador.
He did.
But then Amador and him were constantly going back and forth about what this side was worth for the apartment unit. So I think they always knew in the back of their head this was something they wanted to do over here, which is why there's always been stubs and stuff like that.
So when you say there was a traffic study, you mean like a dozen years ago when Wayne was first peddling this? Well, I mean,
yeah, no, they definitely have to do a new one. But they do have a comprehensive traffic study from when they did they did update the full traffic study for Amador, but it's still going to be at least 5 or 6 years old. They would need a new one for here.
At least. And I know that when we first started on this, because I was, Wayne and I had our differences in a lot of ways, but I always really liked Wayne, and I'm friends with his daughters. They're all in junior league. So he always would come to me and talk to me about this. The school district was not doing backflips over this.
No, it's tough.
It's Craig. Craig is a very tight school as it is.
Yep. And one of the big things that the planning board said the first time they saw this is it has to have secondary access, and it chooses this end of the line
out of the back. I remember this. Yep.
Yeah, apartment units. So he has to figure out a way to connect it to Commerce Park, which then becomes a whole nother thing. So
because then it sends traffic into Old Niskuna.
Yes. So none of these are easy, but we wanted to make sure that you guys knew that these complicated ones, where they go, we're not sure, but are before the planning board under discussion. Yeah, it's a lot of units, and it's one of the last spots really that has land in the town. My last one real quick, and this is right adjacent to where we were just talking, is the church that's right here on Balltown Road, just south of the entrance to Riley Way, has been looking at potentially clearing their back portion of their lot to add fields and gazebos and play spaces. There's the blue is the wetlands, and they're proposing to potentially get a permit to fill some of the wetlands so they can clear. They had some initial discussions with the planning board. They need to do a little bit more design on what their thoughts are for what makes the most sense for clearing and wetland disturbance. But anytime that anything gets cleared in the town of Niskuna, I know my department gets called a whole heck of a lot, and I know that the town board gets called. So we just want to make sure that one's on the radar for you guys as well.
Laura, we do have a sewer easement that runs pretty much along that back property line.
Yeah.
Way up behind JCC there. It's a pretty major line for us. And their sewer lateral from that building goes directly through the wetlands and ties into that line. And there's several cleanouts along the way. That's one of the ones that was broken off. That was a major I&I contributor that we caught.
Okay.
So whatever they did, they'd have to protect that. And I don't want to do something that would encourage people to get onto our easement too.
So Clark, that might be a good point of email to send to them to make sure that they're locating their utilities in that back area and easements. Yeah, thanks, Matt. That's a really good point. Did anybody have any questions on any of those? That's the bulk of our meeting. I'll go quick for the rest of it. 3 cases for the zoning board in September, all private property area variances. We talked about the River Road softball fields, I think, at the highway meeting. Paul's been handling the legal part of that. Everything else that I know of has been built. So I've got submittals into the Canal Corps to close that grant out. I'm going back and forth in their system a little bit on that, but I'm hopeful to get that in the next month or two. And working with DEC to close out theirs. The water fountain in the bathrooms at Aqueduct Park, it came in. It took a year and a half because water fountains became the biggest item ever that people wanted to buy, outdoor water fountains for COVID, I think, because they're outdoor and then people have water. I'm not really sure why. Sometimes I'm surprised by things that you can't get because of COVID, but we finally got it. And they're going to try and install it next week on Tuesday. So the bathrooms would probably be unavailable for a day or two, And then we're going to have water fountains and a hose down there for people. Well, the hose is for the rowing club. The water fountains is for everyone else. And then still working through the other ones there. Haven't heard about the climate smart communities. That's going to take a while. But if anybody has any questions on any of the other grants, let me know. Complete streets. We actually canceled our last meeting, so this is just a carryover there. Still working on those things. But what I think that like what we had discussed at our last meeting was that we were potentially looking at doing some outreach to people on Lexington for a demonstration project for a bike lane on Lexington. And I sent to like highway and police and fire, like, what are your thoughts about painting temporary bike lanes on Lexington? And I got some good feedback. They wanted a couple changes to them. So what we were thinking about doing is, rather than trying to make it work quickly this year, is get all the departments on board conceptually with what we could do, and then do like long, good quality outreach to the people in Lexington, get their thoughts on it. And then if all still goes well, we could do a demonstration project in the spring, is I think where we landed on that one. Tree Council.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I want to go back to the one that I've been asking about for months. Can we get hard prices on the sidewalks?
Yes. Yes.
Nothing that's going on with Complete Streets is more important than the sidewalk thing, because we have to go find the money. And, you know, everybody from Complete Streets gets up and says, we hope everyone will support us. Well, what?
Yeah. I had submitted, I think, so what I did was I used so sidewalk, according to DOT, is $1 million a mile, which I still is unfathomable to me, but I checked a couple different people and they said that's probably just about right. I talked to one of the people even that put sidewalk in on the private sector, and they said that that's probably not terribly unreasonable. And so if you just use that ratio, you're looking at probably about $50,000 to do the Plum Street sidewalk. And then, you know, Bill called me yesterday and talked to me about a million years about Cornelius. Cornelius, I think, is about 285 to 300,000 for.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I, am supportive of both, but, we got to look at where the funding goes. The Plum Street one is, I think, a smaller, lower.
The Plum Street one came later, but I know we've been talking about Cornelius for as long as I've been here, with the whole walking school bus thing. And,
Yes.
I mean, the people who first talked to me about those things are in my boat. Their kids are seniors in college.
Yes.
I mean, we've been talking about this for so long, but Plum Street seems a little closer right now.
Yeah. Just because
it seems more doable. We seem to have some level of buy-in from the school district and from others. I mean, Cornelius, that everybody's like, that would be nice. But so, Laura, I would just like to be able to discuss next steps. I just don't want to have another meeting next month where we say, okay, well, it's $1 million a mile. I mean, I just, if we're going to talk about doing it, then I want to do it. I want to have a formal price tag to it. I want to be able to try to go get the money.
Okay, I am okay with that. I would say that probably my next steps would be to see if like Isma or Yasmin know if some of the the stimulus money that we're getting is earmarked for infrastructure improvements.
It is. Yeah. Well, that is only if we can relate it to COVID. So anything for the ARPA money, it has to be absolutely COVID. We have, Yasmin, Denise, and myself, we are looking at other things to see if it can be tied to COVID, which it truly is. Otherwise,
we've had this conversation at Complete Streets, and we can look at what the questions do, and maybe it's even worth meeting with Sue, but COVID created a lot of anxiety about putting kids on buses. My own daughter was quarantined because of an exposure on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So why don't we continue to have this conversation? I know that Chapman and I have also talked, and I've already talked to the county. I'm going to continue to try to talk to the county about this one and Rosendale.
Yeah. But I do think there is a COVID connection to building sidewalks to school right now.
That's why I said, let's maybe try to circle back with Easement beginning of next week, Laura?
Yeah, I'll reach out and see if I can set up a meeting.
That would be great.
Okay, cool. I love that. And then if anybody has had a chance to drive down Dean Street, the Tree Council worked with Schenectady County Soil and Water, and they planted 39 trees on Dean Street.
I know, it's fantastic.
It looks good. I'm particularly excited about the corner of Dean and Niskayuna, which had been very bare and has a whole bunch of trees there. So that should help over time with some traffic calming and cooling. And there's a lot of benefits to that. And I think that the Tree Council put an untold amount of hours into that project. But it came out really nice. So happy with that. The guy who is finalizing the asphalt on Napa Court is also planting trees on Napa Court. Napa Court is over off of Ravine, over by Aqueduct, kind of close to the senior center. It's got hardly any trees right now because it's a relatively new development, but we should be putting 24 trees in that area over the next couple weeks. So we're meeting with them at 1 p.m. today. And the other things that are just on their radar is the planting. They did an upgraded sign at Blatnick Park, and Ray had invited the Tree Council to come up with a planting plan around the new sign. They've just been working so hard on Dean Street, they haven't had a chance to do that yet, but it's on their list. And then they are also working with the Rivers Ledge developer on the planting that's going down in the Aqueduct Park. And we've been considering, we have like 20 elms that are coming in pretty soon, actually, like usually the end of October, November, that we could potentially put either in Aqueduct Park or in a different park. So they've got a bunch of things that they're still working on.
That's great.
And go ahead.
No, while you were on Aqueduct, I just wanted to go back. We talked about Rivers Ledge in the top of this, and it's probably most appropriate he's not here. What's the story, Briggs? You talked to me at some point. What's the story with the easement that we need for Rivers Ledge?
Oh, for the road?
No, I think it's water and sewer, right? Is Briggs on?
Oh,
all right, I'll follow up. I don't want to hold up the meeting.
I can give you some input on that.
No, I need the Briggs input, not the technical input. So, okay. And I've only got a few more minutes for this.
Okay, I'll go see where Beth. I don't know about that, but I'm happy to help.
Okay.
CAC has been selling pesticide-free lawn signs pretty regularly at the farmers market. So I'm getting people to sign up and not put pesticides on their lawn. That's great. We talked about at my budget.
How many of those signs do we have left?
We still have a lot. I think we ordered 300, so I think we still have about 200 left, maybe even a little bit.
The problem with them is they're not stiff enough.
Yeah,
they fall over. You know,
but, to get stiffer ones starts to become more costly.
I know. No, I know why.
Yes, we know.
But they're beautiful. I love them, and I love mine in my yard. But it's just.
Yeah, it's hard to pick up and put down. Like I think maybe Jeannie or someone I know like glued a stick to the back of theirs so that you can pull it up and down easier. Yeah, I haven't done that with mine, but I should.
That's a good point. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's very relevant. And then we're still looking at funding the natural resources inventory, but we sort of have a two-prong approach, which we think will work. So hopefully we'll have more updates on that in a month or two. And then the LOMO, I just wanted to give a shout out to like Ellen, who brought her mom and her niece to Kelt's Farm with the okay from Joel, and he moved a bunch of the wildflowers from Kelt's Farm over to the LOMO initiative.
It looks good over there. He's moving ground now, but you see all the flowers and everything in the front. Ellen DeVero?
Yeah, Ellen moved a bunch of the wildflowers over to Blatnick Park. So with her mom and her niece, and I helped, but it was mostly them.
Of course you did. Thank you all. Okay, thank you for telling us about Ellen.
And she's been watering them to make sure they didn't die because she loves all things that are growing. And then Architectural Review Board, did you have anything you wanted to say about that one, Clark?
No, just that we're actively working on 4 projects, and they'll obviously be involved in the 2 apartment or townhouse and the apartment project.
And the building department enforcement, that one's you as well. I know you worked really hard on that.
Yeah, we just wanted to report it took a while and it took help from the police department, but we believe we have the garbage pickup under at Brookdale Memory Care. So just wanted to close that out with everyone.
And the Council Road sidewalk, I don't have updates for. Kelts Farm, I already have been getting emails because the clearing did start. Kelts Farm is under construction, so we'll make sure that, you know, John speaks to that at the town board meeting. And if anybody has any questions, we'll just keep letting people know what's going on over there. The GE water tower antennas got approved, so I think those are to building permit, which we just got submitted, I think yesterday, probably, Clark, right? Knott's Landing got approved a monument sign, which looks very nice. I think a planning board worked on that a couple meetings with the applicant. So, and if anybody's driven by recently, they clearly rolled out sod. So there's already quite a bit of green on that property, which looks very nice. And then still working on finalizing the water lines on 1380 Van Antwerp Road. That 3-lot subdivision for Mr. Lisi. And Matt, I'm looking at you on this one. We need you to write out the agreement with the developer there. And then I am actually not that familiar. Clark was helping me with the agenda. The 205 Campo Court.
Yeah, there's just some concern or image on 205 Campo Court. So that's just something that's on our screen too.
That we're working through.
It's being worked on.
Good. And did you have anything from legal, Paul?
I do not.
And I know, Dennis, this has just been an ongoing thing, but it's worth it to just keep plugging away at it, the preservation code.
Yeah, well, it's been on hiatus, I guess, while I was away. But anyway, it's sitting, I believe, on Paul's desk right now. He's going to work out some language for the preservation code, and then we'll again bring it back to the planning board. You're laughing, Paul. I know you probably have nothing else to do, right?
No,
So-
I was up north. I was up north for the last week and a half, along with you, apparently.
Yeah, not bad up there. Yeah, I'm going back too. Yeah. So there's nothing new to report there.
That's fine. We'll
Yeah.
just keep plugging away on it.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is October 1st. And probably I would expect, unless you guys hear differently, I would just plan for it to be remote for the time being. Did anybody have anything else they want to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, everyone.
Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye
I'll
now.
second. And we're adjourned.
Thank you. All those in favor. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi.
Paul Briggs, will you just stay on for 1 sec?
Yes.
When you popped off I was getting texts from my colleague who isn't here,